Hey students, I hope you're having a great week or had a great weekend, depending on when you watch this video. Full disclosure, you may see a cat tail or cat in this video as my cat Micha gets really jealous whenever I try to do anything except for give her attention. Also, this video is going to actually be pretty short, so I'm sure you guys are like, hooray, compared to the others, but the three interviews that you guys have this week from Girl Boss Radio constitute almost an hour of listening, definitely shy of that. So just kind of wanted to wrap up a few things that we've been working on that you guys have done last week and going forward with this week. Just to kind of give you a bit more information and to sum things up. So, first off, I would like to say that I'm keeping this short because I would like to encourage you to watch more videos. When I looked at the stats on the videos from the past week, one of them had okay numbers, but two of them did not. So, I definitely look at the track views, and as a result, I'm going to try to keep them a little briefer, but also more heavily wrap them into our assignments and discussion board, because, they are all there for a reason. So I want you to listen to them, to watch them, to really pay attention. So, please know that going forward, that when doing your assignments and your discussion board, that you need to allot some time to listen to those beforehand. Also thinking about homework assignments. The assignment in which you guys, as far as the interviews went, looked at the Erdem interview and the Alexander Wang interview. What you had to do was go to the Wall Street Journal database through LAM if you don't have a subscription of your own to Wall Street Journal. I don't really expect you guys to. But in order to find those, you have to be a little bit keyword savvy. And so you can either look at the link or click on the link of the ones that I dropped into the assignment, and get the titles and search that way, or use a few keywords, including, the title or the subject, the author, the date, all that stuff you can still see whenever you click on the link through WSJ.com. And so it's not that I didn't make it easy for you guys and give you a direct link because I'm lazy, but because I want you to get used to, the process of doing your own work and your own research, and trying to find these things and figure them out. Because if I've learned anything in my, years of writing, in a variety of subjects, fashion and otherwise, is that you have to be a really savvy searcher. You have to do some sleuthing. You have to really be tactful with the approaches that you use and thinking about all the chains of connectivity in which you can find out information and being thorough about your research. So, as the interview goes itself, that's something that you want to do about your subject before you conduct an interview anyway. So I'm just trying to one more step to get you guys into the good practice of doing those kinds of things. And so, I really am stressing interviewing for another week because it's so important, and it's really something that you absolutely need to nail down. And there's so many different mediums and ways in which you can do that. And something that we're spending more time looking at, particularly this week, is the podcast. And it really is a burgeoning format. And it is totally related to journalism. And, you can almost go to any magazine or publication, Glamour magazine, for example, Allure, and a lot of these magazines are now realizing that they need more of an omni-channel approach instead of just being on social media, or working with a blog network as an expansion of their brand, that they also need to tap into this podcast medium. And so a lot of them have been creating and branding their own version of podcasts. And so who do you think is doing those interviews and running those podcasts but staffers? And so it's the same thing as I complain about, with my career as a writer, is that I'm expected half the time to take photos of events that I'm at. And I'm, first and foremost, not a photographer, but guess what? Too bad. I got to figure it out. I have to try my best, and I have to learn and pay attention and get a better camera and all those things. And so lucky with the podcast, there isn't so many steps, that are different than, writing and conducting an interview in person, over the phone, via email. So it's really an important skill to be able to foster, and it's also practice for doing, most likely if you're doing face-to-face, an in-person interview. So with this week's assignment, you guys will be conducting interviews. However, I'm giving you the option, and definitely encourage it for you to do this interview as a podcast. And so whenever you do it as a podcast, you can create it as if it's your own new podcast, or if it's going to be part of, coupled with an existing, podcast that's happening that Glamour Magazine or somewhere somebody's doing. So just keep in mind, to let me know how you brand it, what it's part of, who you're interviewing, all that kind of stuff, as if I just logged on and was listening as a new reader. Kind of what the podcast is about, the format, all that kind of stuff. So, it's something that I recommend you guys explore and to listen to more as well. And so we'll have little tiny interviews throughout the semester too that'll be elaboration of this. And I hope that, you enjoy it. Podcast clubs are becoming more of a popular thing. And I don't really see the medium going away anytime soon. So I think, it's probably a good idea for you guys to give it a try. And so if you do it via podcast, I wrote this in the description, just upload as a Word doc your interview questions that you used into Blackboard. And then you can email me directly the MP4 file. You can just use, your audio file, your recording in your iPhone to do it. And then if you have Dropbox, you can put it in Dropbox directly from there, or Google Docs, and you can send me a link to that way too. So that could work. Just remember my LIM email address, julia.denardo@limcollege.edu. And I think that's it for that. I mean, it really is such a growing medium that it's important that we acknowledge it and experiment about it and understand its functioning, and how it works. So, going forward, there's Micha, thinking about how you're going to do your research, and prep for interviews. I talked a little bit about that last week, but it's something that, you want to think about as far as the kind of format that would suit best for the information that you have and what the publication is like, that you're publishing this interview to, what their expectations are. And if there's any way you can think outside of the box with your interview style, as well as your interviewees. So for example, Cassandra Gray in her interview talks about emotional connectivity to things. And she talks about, how she really wanted to get behind Hollywood and celebrities and glamour. And really, when she moved to Hollywood, to LA, did a lot of research and analyzing, the industry and thinking about it and the different players. And she saw that, all these makeup artists, hair artists were really spending a lot of time with celebrities, and they were really interesting, creative people and personalities themselves. And she really wanted to tap into that. And so, it became a high functioning part of her business, is to utilize, these folks. So, that's one thing to think about, is like, who are kind of like the silent stars of the industry? Because if you can find out who those people are, again, being a savvy researcher, and get to some of those people, then you can, have an interview that may be way more interesting than interviewing a celebrity themselves, because you have someone who's worked behind the scenes, it's very connected, obviously probably very talented, and it isn't an interview that someone, has written or read basically the same thing thousands of times over with the same celebrity. So it really can open up a large realm of possibility, and kudos to you, for thinking outside the box. So those are just a few of the things that, I wanted you to think about. Going forward, we're going to be looking more specifically at other genres. So, we're going to go into newspapers and magazines and blogging. So just to give you a little bit clue of what's coming down the pipeline overall, your discussion boards have been really, really great. I want to try to steer the direction a little bit differently this week. So heads up, and make sure you listen to at least 2 or 3 of those lectures, before heading into the discussion board this week. So that's about it for now. Thanks for listening. Let me know if you guys have any questions via email, and I look forward to hearing your conversation and seeing your work. Thanks again. Bye. Bye from Micha. Bye. Bye.